John West, Paranormal Park Ranger in A Werewolf in Cheap Clothing, HQ Incident File Number 8, Denali National Park. Multiple attacks reported on dog sled teams. Witnesses report cryptid interference and malfeasance. Possible parallel entity, Northern Werewolf. Investigation requested. My old Green Ranger wagon chugs loudly down Parks Highway in Denali National Park, her diesel engine working overtime in the cold weather. Mountains shoulder the sky in every direction, and on either side of the frost-lined asphalt are spruce forests dusted with fresh snow. The sun sets early here in November, and by 4 p.m., my headlights are catching only the rare road sign and snow flurries. I pass an old turnout and one such road sign that reads, Cantwell, 8 miles. It's lonely up here in Alaska, sure, but the residents of tiny Cantwell prefer it to the strange visitor that's been stalking their town. That's why I'm here. I'm John West, Paranormal Park Ranger, called in this time to help investigate a purported lupine infestation. Cantwell isn't much more than a handful of buildings clinging to the edge of the road, but it's one of the most supernaturally active places on the continent, harassed by all sorts of nonsense through the years. Aliens, vampires, Russians, and now a supposed werewolf. More like can't catch a break. My wagon bounces over the railroad siding, cutting through the middle of the town. The scant houses sit low to the ground, half sunk in snow berms, chimneys trailing pale smoke into the winter sky. This time of year, the tourist season is long over. All that's left are locals and lifers, snow machine guides, lodge caretakers, a couple of winter trappers, pickup trucks idle outside the only bar, the last light, their engines ticking. As I exit my wagon to head inside, I hear the faint barking of sled dogs in the distance and the loud cries of ravens overhead. The bar doesn't have a name on the outside, just a hand-painted sign over the door that reads "Beer" in fading red letters. Stepping inside feels like towing into a warm bath, only one that smells like wood smoke, swill, and fried meat. The walls are cluttered with fading Polaroids of sled teams and curling medals. A cast-iron stove in the corner churns out dry heat at the regulars, all bundled in canvas and wool leaning toward it. There's no music, just the hiss of the stove and the clink of mugs over mumbled conversation. As I head to the bar, I notice someone has scrawled "Wolf seen at Windy Ridge" on the chalkboard. "John West, you son of a bitch," I hear a familiar voice growl as I feel the heavy clap of an oversized hand fall onto my shoulder. "Harry Aklak," I growl back, turning around to face my old smoke-jumping friend. "You son of a bitch." "2 more," he calls to the barkeep. "I knew I'd find you here," I say as we take a seat on a fur-lined bench across from the furnace. "Like finding a needle in a small pile of needles," Harry says with a chuckle. When he takes the 2 beers he ordered from the barkeeper, they appear miniature in his hands. "Well," I sigh, "glad I got here before dinner. I'm hungry as a wolf." Just then, the air in the room goes cold. "Close the damn door," Harry yells. "Speaking of wolves," he continues, "we've got a real barker of a mystery, John, a barker." "What's the scoop?" I ask him after taking a big swig from my greasy mug. "Strange things happening in Cantwell, John. You know the score. This time seems it's a creature, a strange creature, a half-man, half-wolf, or a half-wolf, half-man. It's a monster." One of the old-timers sitting at the bar interjects, "It came out of the woods and ran my pups damn near into the river. Good thing it's frozen, I tell you. It's a monster." "Sure is," the man next to him adds. "The darn thing did the same to my pack." "The beast's a thief too," says the old lady closest to the furnace. "He eats up all the food I put out for the dogs." "Yikes. Has anyone been injured?" I ask. "If we can't make our runs," the first man explains. People can't get their supplies in the bush, can't get their medicine. It's a ticking time bomb. I don't know what kind of animal it is that's out there, but it's like nothing I've seen up here in 70 years, and I saw the squatch. You got any leads? I ask Harry. I've got a nose on something, Harry answers. Let's order to go. I've been doing some research that I think you might like to see. His ranger cabin sits just outside town. It's a squat, timber-built place with a tin roof. Inside, it's warm and utilitarian. Maps pinned to the walls, shelves of survival guides and old trapper journals, a wood stove that's soon crackling beside a bookshelf. A moose hide is draped over the couch, and a cracked mug on the windowsill that says "Bears Hate Mondays" holds some crusty paintbrushes. You mind if we listen to some podcasts? Harry asks as he tucks into his pancakes. That's all the bar served, I guess. It's for a side case I'm working on. No, that's fine, I answer with a yawn. The night is young, but it's dark at 5:30. My body is shutting down and pancakes aren't helping anything. As we look over the maps and evidence Harry has been collecting regarding the man-wolf Wolfman, he tells me that the voice on the podcast we're listening to is Wade Kellum, an amateur obsessed with wilderness dominance and primal masculinity. At first, it's just the usual absurd nonsense that you'd expect from someone who still thinks alpha personalities are a thing, but by episode 3, it gets pretty unsettling. They don't accept me, Wade rants angrily. Not yet, but they will. I will lead them. I'm changing. Alpha mindset. He goes on and on about that, Harry says distractedly as he skims through his notes. What's the case? I ask. Why are you investigating him? Oh, sorry. Wade went missing 3 weeks ago, and he was last seen at the last light. His podcast talks about wanting to come up to Alaska in episode 4 and 5, the last 2 he released. I keep thinking I might hear a clue about where he was headed in them, but I stop paying attention because he's so stupid to listen to. You don't think they're connected, do you? I ask. Wade Kellum and the recent appearance of the man-wolf Wolfman? Maybe he annoyed the Wolfman man-wolf out of the woods with his stupid podcast, now that you mention it. Harry chuckles. I don't know, though. Seems coincidental. Guys like that are getting lost up here all the time. They try to go off-grid when they've hardly ever been camping. Well, I yawn. Harry, I'm sorry, but I'm as tired as an 18-wheeler. I'll be much better help in the morning. You mind if I close my eyes? It's that or drink this time of year, Harry laughs. You go on ahead to Slumberland, I'll see you there soon. As I doze off, I hear Wade extolling the virtues of some protein powder or another. We set out to investigate just after sunrise with a pot of strong coffee between our bellies. The sun glistens off the crystalline snow brilliantly, warming me despite the chill. The engines of our snow machines, not snowmobiles, mind you, this is Alaska, growl to life in the icy stillness, and soon we're slicing across the hardened crust of the snowmat, kicking up the powdery top layer behind us. Leaving Cantwell, we follow an old mining access route, a barely marked corridor known locally as part of the Stampede Trail, though the real trail is buried under 6 feet of drift. The wilderness swallows us quickly. What few signs of humanity exist, snow-faded trail markers, rusted oil drums from decades-old hunting camps, vanish behind the trees. Spruce and alder flash past in blurred lines. A herd of caribou watches from a windswept ridge. As we crest a ridge above the Teclanica River, Harry pauses to scan the wide white basin beyond. Over my headset, I hear him say, "Down there's where the dogs were attacked, or herded, whatever it was that happened." We descend into the low valley where the Riley Creek corridor twists through black spruce. It's quieter here as the wind dies. "See 'em?" Harry asks. I scan the ground for what he's seen and soon find it tracks, too large for wolf, too loping for bear. Harry cuts his engine. "We'll walk from here." I follow him a short while to Riley Creek Campground, snowed over and empty. As we cross a frozen clearing, something massive moves through the nearby trees. "Harry!" I cry. "It sure is," Harry responds. I can't tell if he's joking. Breaking a fallen tree in half as it crawls out of the woods, the monster reveals itself. Lupine, man-like, hunched, walking, wild-eyed and furrowed. It's unlike any cryptid I've ever seen. "What the hell is it?" I gasp as it bares its teeth at us in a sickening grin. "Not long for this world, that's what," Harry answers as he draws the shotgun hanging from his back. The monster rises up on its hind legs to a terrifying height as a punishing surge of wind like a held breath comes screaming across the barren hellscape. This makes the beast lose its footing, and it starts to slip around, back and forth, tripping over itself in a manner that can only be described as plain goofy, before sliding headfirst into a snowbank. "That's no werewolf, Harry," I say, motioning for him to stay his weapon. "That's Wade Kellum." "You think?" Harry calls, cocking his head at the possibility. "Wade? Wade? Is that you?" The monster recoils at the name and bumbles like Scooby-Doo, trying to flee the ice for a few moments before it finds traction and disappears back into the woods. What happened to him, I wonder? What makes a normal moron like Wade Kellum turn into a werewolf? The same thing that makes anyone else, Harry sighs. Bad decisions. We decide to wait and see if the Wolfman Man-Wolf reappears to terrorize the mushers' routes later in the afternoon. "Wade!" Harry sings at the edge of the woods as he jangles his keys. "Wade! Where are you?" He's not going to answer, I tell him. He's running from himself as much as from us. I hear Harry's phone ding. "You get a signal all the way out here?" I ask him. "Have to. Government business," he answers. "Weird." "What is it?" "I got a notification that there's a new Kellum Kills 'Em episode that just came out. How's he posting if he's a wolf?" "Probably pre-recorded so he could take his vacation," I answer. "Uploaded before he left. We don't have to listen to it, do we?" "Sorry, partner," Harry says as the stupid theme music starts to play. "Now you're the monster, Harry," I tell him. "Now it's you." Wade sounds even angrier than usual, like he's foaming at the mouth. He's talking about how he's not getting enough followers, how he wants to be a leader but feels like he isn't being heard. And then he starts sounding like he's lost it completely, raving about a man who can sell him a wolf pelt and a magic cave he discovered in an old army survey. Uh-oh. Harry gulps. "What's wrong?" I ask him. "I think I know what he's talking about." "Speak crazy, do ya?" I yuck. Harry flaps his lips with his index finger and blabbers, playing along. "Anyone who lives up here long enough goes a bit sidewise," he says. "Speaking of which, we have to go talk to my friend Charlie Tacklin. I'll bet he knows exactly what happened. Follow me." The snow machines can't make it up the ridgeline on the far edge of the valley, so we strap on snowshoes and climb single file through thigh-deep powder, following an old trap line barely visible under wind-blown snow. The forest is dense here, spruce, birch, and alder pressing in tight, and the light has that high alpine quality, silver bright but dim beneath the canopy. Each step creaks in the silence. "Charlie is a trader," Harry explains as we plod along. "He lives in a little nook where the land levels off into a sheltered grove in a cabin older than the whole town of Cantwell." "How's he get any business?" I ask. "Because there's nowhere else you can find what he's offering," Harry answers. It's not long before I see the tanned hides hanging from a drying rack out front of Charlie's cabin. A smoke hole puffs out the smell of spruce pitch and something cooking low and slow. "Santa Claus?" I ask as we unstrap our snowshoes. If Santa were a lot smaller, smellier, and meaner, Harry answers, and he skinned the reindeer. Inside the cabin, it's dim and warm. Bundles of herbs hang from the rafters. Antler tools and fossilized bones line the shelves. I don't notice Charlie at first, watching us from beneath a fur-lined hat like a spiteful gnome, but he already knows why we've come. He asked for a wolf pelt, he starts, without introduction, in a voice like a basso Yoda. He lied and said it was spiritual, then backtracked and said it was a prank with a wolf pelt. Well, I gave him a prank. He likes pranks so much, I gave him a dog pelt. Where'd you get a dog pelt, Charlie? Harry asks queasily. Don't worry about it, sweetheart, he answers. That walking muscle wanted to be in charge, but wolves don't work that way. I know he found the sage's cave. I know what he was trying to do. So you turn him into a dog? I ask. What's wrong with being a dog? Charlie barks. You should be lucky to be a dog. How long were you going to let this go on? He's been messing with other teams, Charlie, Harry says with a tinge of disappointment in his voice, trying to run them into the river. Charlie sniggers and says, Ain't I a stinker? The stinkiest, Harry sighs. So, he's up on Mystic Ridge? Unless he's in the pound, Charlie chuckles. You really shouldn't encourage these people, Charlie, says Harry. Charlie shrugs and sighs. What else am I doing out here? Well, you take care, old friend, Harry says as he pushes me towards the exit. Outside, I turn to him and ask, You're just going to let him get away with that? Knowingly participating in magical misdirection? Yeah, Harry answers. Charlie's a good guy and an ally. You have to have people up here, John, and you don't have the luxury of being too choosy about who they are. We set back out under a pale afternoon sky, snow crunching beneath our snowshoes in that steady, hypnotic rhythm. The air is knife-sharp, and our breaths hang on it like ghosts. We move through a corridor of ancient black spruce, limbs warped and huddled, the kind that grow near places best left undisturbed. It's unmarked country, terrain that resists being known. We cross a frozen creek veined with animal tracks, then ascend a slope where rock outcroppings break the snow like jagged teeth. The wind begins to whisper. Suddenly, the magic cave reveals itself, half swallowed by the hill, a dark mouth in the wall of ice-laced granite. Above the entrance, a tangle of carved glyphs, weathered but unmistakably intentional, glow with a faint green light. Magic caves, I sigh, shaking my head. Harry, is there anything that gives the PPR more trouble? Maybe headquarters, he sniggers. I also snigger. Inside the cave, the air is still, and at the center, an ancient ritual circle, its lines etched into the stone floor, and the dog pelt from Charlie laid reverently in the middle. He's over there, Harry whispers. I can see the mangy outline and hear Wade snoring. He's human, but still smells like a dirty mop doused with Axe body spray. Just then, the beam of moonlight moving across the floor creeps over his exposed foot. Lousy timing. Instantly, a most dreadful transformation takes place. I watch Wade's silhouette stretch and twist and break, and his monstrous form leap from his mangy blanket to stagger into the full light of the moon, transformed, with teeth gnashed more out of confusion than malice. Careful! Harry warns. He has the power of both a man and a dog. Dog Wade panics and leaps between us and the exit. Here, boy, Harry calls, pulling a stick of jerky out of his pocket as he runs to the far side of the magic circle. Hurry! Grab the pelt, John! I dive for the pelt as Wade leaps for Harry's jerky. As I tumble through the magic circle for a brief second, the spell is transferred and Wade transforms into me. Harry is massively confused as I crash into him before I roll out of the circle. Wade collapses and the natural order is restored. "What's going on?" Wade begs in wide-eyed confusion, shivering naked on the ground. "Wade, we're here to help. We heard your podcast," Harry explains calmly. "About the cave, about the pelt, about the other wolves, everything." "Well, I always love to meet fans of the show," Wade gushes, slipping quickly back into jerk mode. "Make sure you subscribe if you haven't and turn on notifications so you don't miss any important updates." We get the poor podcaster back to Cantwell and into some warm clothes and a room. After he naps, we tell him that he hallucinated everything, to which he is surprisingly amenable. We don't even have to wipe his memory. Poor guys like him believe anything. After we get him on a plane back home, we have the cave uncharmed by the local chieftain. Why didn't they do that before? I mean, they just leave these places open. Never mind. It's none of my business. After all, there's always something afoot in Alaska. I'm sure I'll be back to the last frontier soon enough. It's weird up here, and weird's what I do. I'm John West, Paranormal Park Ranger.